Welcome everyone to the member orientation meeting for fall of 2022. My name's Steve Emert and
Hi, I'm Rebecca Messer.
and we'll be going through an overview of the MAS and get for membership benefits. So here we go. First, I'll show an outline of what we're going to discuss today. Everything from the welcome, talking about the organization, our observing sites and facilities, star parties and the public observing nights, and then what we do beyond the observing sites and everything, communication, what we have for special interest groups, and how we can access the calendar of benefits, calendar of activities, try that again, and the benefits of membership. So first we'll talk about the organization a little bit. The MAS is a large club. It currently has about 670 members, so it does take a fair amount of volunteer effort to maintain all aspects of the club. First I'll talk about the MAS board. Half of the board is up for election every December. Essentially everyone in the left column on this slide is up for election on even years, and everyone in the right column is up for election on odd years. The president is limited to 2 consecutive terms, or 4 years, before a new president must be elected. Now that same person can be re-elected after another president's term. So there's no such limitation for all of the other board member positions. You can contact the board using the email address displayed, or go to the leadership page, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and fill out the web form and select the board in the recipient drop-down menu. This is what we expect the board to look like after the December 2022 election. Trina, the current secretary, is running unopposed for president. Oops, sorry about that. Let me back up. There we go. Trina, the current secretary, is running unopposed for president, and Dave Faulkner, who's a past president, is running unopposed for secretary.
Excellent.
Two new candidates for one of the board member at large positions, so we're not sure whether it's going to be Phil or Ahmed for that. And I want to say that becoming a board member really isn't a huge amount of work, and it's a great way to learn a lot about the operation of the society. Good way to poke your nose into everybody's business is the way I say it, because I have been a past board member myself. Anyway, so we urge that if you have any interest at all, you should consider running for a board position in the future. Okay, so in addition to the board, we have a number of standing volunteer leader positions, and most important among them are the observing site managers, also known as the site committee chairpersons. Here are the current ones for the 5 observing sites that we have. So for both Joseph Casby and for Metcalf Field, John Heyman takes care of those because they're both on the east side of town. Taking care of Cherry Grove is Trina Johnson, again, our president almost elect at this point. We have Eagle Lake, because it's so large, as we'll discuss, it's so large that we have both a facility director, and that's Merle Hiltner, and also an ELO program director, Lila Blinkman. And then rounding that up is for Long Lake Conservation Center, Ken Hugel manages the group up there. So these observing site managers and the site committees. So a few years back, we established some basic rules for operating the standing committees, which is mostly those site operations and maintenance committees. We'd set up these rules some time ago to avoid the possibility of small cliques taking over completely at the observing sites, and really keeping it open for new members to become active there and provide suggestions and input, because it really is nice, getting new blood in there, learning how things operate, provide a new perspective into things instead of getting a little bit on the stagnant side. In addition to that board and the observing site committees, we have quite a few other volunteer positions that have taken for things that have other things that people have taken on for various tasks. At the top of the list is the Astronomy League Coordinator, or ALCOR, and he's also the Observing Special Interest Group Chairperson, Jerry Jones. And ALCOR is a position that's coordinated with the Astronomy League, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. One really important one is the Loner Scope Coordinator. Now, the MES Vice President is really in charge of the Loner program, but he's working with Anton Gregory, who's the Loner Scope Coordinator, and he'll be the one that you work with if you want to borrow a Loner Scope. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Since the very beginning of the club, we've had the Gemini newsletter that's been continuous operation every bi-monthly, for the past 50 years. Currently, Father Brown is the Gemini editor, does a great job on that. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but again, I want to reiterate one thing. If you have any interest in writing an article, because the Gemini is totally written by MES members themselves, please submit one, even if you're just starting out and it's just kind of how you got into the club and into the hobby. The webmaster, we have a web committee, and we'll talk about the website a little bit more, but Vaults primarily takes the lead on that one, but we have quite a few people that work on that because the website is a pretty large task. Working down the monthly meeting programs, so Ahmed Rida is the person that's currently taking care of that, and he does a great job of finding astronomy professors and research professors from the U of M and other places to make our meetings the prime presentation each month in our meetings very relevant and very interesting. Rounding it out, we have the outreach coordinator Lila Blinkman, who helps us work with dealing with requests for outreach, whether it's Cub Scout groups or things like that. And I guess I don't have him listed there, but the Beginners Special Interest Group coordinator, Suresh Savan, and we'll talk about him and the BSIG a little bit later. And then finally rounding it out, myself, the membership coordinator, Steve Emert. And I don't coordinate things so much as maintain the database and send new member welcome letters, send out the renewal letters and the renewal acknowledgements and stuff like that. And if you have any questions on anything, you can always reach out to me or reach out to any of the board members or the leaders. And we'll talk about how in just a second here. So how to contact us. You can reach out and contact any board member, any observing site committee, or any of the other volunteer positions simply by filling out the contact web form, which you can see the link for it on the bottom here. You fill out your name, your email address, the subject, pull the drop-down list for who you want to contact, and that'll get to the right person. It sends an email out to the right person or the right group. Those email aliases on the right side do also exist, but it's just easier to use the form. So after that, let's move on to the observing sites, which is kind of the main thing about us. So we're really fortunate to have sites located on all four cardinal compass points, north, south, east, and west, allowing access for our members to the most convenient location for them, whether they're, in the north, the south, the west, wherever they are within the Twin Cities, or even, the entire eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. So we'll dig into each one of these a little bit deeper. First one is Eagle Lake Observatory. And now that's our primary outreach facility. ELO is located in Carver County's Baylor Regional Park, and it's a few miles north of Norwood, Young America. ELO is home to the Onan Observatory, the Sylvia Casby Observatory, and the Hotspot Classroom. Onan Observatory has been in place the longest. Construction started around 1998, and its grand opening occurred during the Spring Astronomy Day in May 2001. Expansion to include the Sylvia Casby Observatory and the Hotspot Classroom began around 2012, and it really increased our capabilities to assist the public during our public observing nights. And those are scheduled typically during the weekends of the first quarter and the third quarter moon during the warmer months. And here's a picture of the telescopes within the Sylvia Casby Observatory. That center one is the centerpiece of it. It's an 8-inch TMB, or Thomas M. Beck is the brand, refracting scope. Also accompanied by a couple of solar scopes and a Muon, and all on an astrophysics mount. So really very high-class equipment in a high-class observatory, which is available for use. In the Onan Observatory, so Onan consists of 3 concentric barrel sections, and the largest one rolls back to expose the telescopes inside. Inside the Onan Observatory building, we have 3 primary platforms. Seen in the left picture there is the 16-inch Meade LX200 scope. That one's mounted at altitude azimuth, and it's primarily used as a visual scope. The one in the center picture is the imaging platform consisting of a Celestron C14 Schmidt-Cassegrain and several refractors, all equipped with high definition cameras so that we can see the views on TV monitors in the observatory and on the projector screen inside the classroom. On the right picture is the visual platform with all the scopes equipped with eyepieces for direct views of the astronomical objects. They also have turrets on the bottom so that you can kind of zoom in. Telescope magnification is based on the eyepiece focal length dividing into the telescope focal length. So different focal length eyepieces give you different fields of view and different magnification, and you can easily turn the eyepiece on the turret to pick one of 5 different magnification levels.
Nice. You're not dropping anything.
Yeah, without dropping really expensive eyepieces.
Yeah.
And then on the bottom part, it shows our 20-inch obsession, the El Padre, which is rolled out onto the plaza for viewing. It's called the, it's called the El Padre because it was donated to us by Father Brown, who is the Gemini editor. Here's a little bit of a different view of the imaging platform in the upper left-hand picture. You can see some of the cameras on the back ends of those scopes. And then in the upper right, that's an overall view looking from inside the center section of it, looking out. So you can see the visual platform on the left, the LX200 in the center, and the imaging platform on the right. And by the way, I forgot to mention that we quite often call the 3 sections of the Onan Observatory Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear. So you'll hear somebody talk about Papa Bear. That's that section that we roll to the back over Mama Bear to open up the observatory. Mama Bear, of course, is in the middle, a little bit smaller. And then Baby Bear is the warming room and the storage room that we have in the back end of the observatory. Also, if you see on the bottom that panorama of the entire site, so we'll, in addition to all of the scopes in Sylvia Casby on the left and on Onan on the right, people will set up their own scopes up on the upper plaza, which is all grass, actually around the circular paved section, and then also the lower plaza, which is has a gravel surface on it. So a lot of room to put our own scopes out there, as well as using the ones in the observatory. And also there are outlets on the front side of Onan Observatory. So if you need AC power for your scope, you can use that. So how do we get there? ELO is located within Carver County's Baylor Regional Park, and it's located about 3 miles north of Norwood Young America. And Norwood Young America is about 30 miles west of I-94 corridor on the west side of the cities. So to me, at least, the easiest way to get to ELO from the cities is to go out Highway 212, which is mostly freeway. Some of it's 4-lane divided highway and some of it's just 2-lane. But anyway, go out Highway 212 out to Norwood Young America and turn north on County Road 33, which is at the Quick Trip station there. Now, Baylor used to charge for parking, but they haven't charged for several years now. They do have an access gate, which is closed between 10 o'clock in the evening and 6 o'clock in the morning. You can contact Merle Hiltner, the ELO facilities director, to get the gate code to let you in after 10 o'clock. Now, exiting is no problem because to exit, the gate has a sensor that opens up the gate when you approach it from the inside of the park, and it stays open for 20 or 30 seconds, so no problem. And it is equipped with sensors, so it won't close on your car if you're a little bit slow getting out. So again, so as you can see, ELO has a lot of facilities, a lot of equipment, and it's designated as our primary outreach facility. With all of the equipment, you can imagine it takes a fair amount of training to become a key holder there. Now, Merle holds several training sessions each year, and each one is 5 to 6 hours long. We also ask that you commit to helping out at least a couple of times in a year in order to maintain a key holder status. MES members are free to use the outside plaza at any time, whether they're key holders or not. And key holders can use any of the observatories and any of the equipment at any time. You know, the only thing is you have to be aware that since we're located within a public park, and you know, if you pull back the roof on Onan or open up Sylvia Casby, you may very well have some passerbys showing up and wanting to take a look just because it is primarily a public outreach place and it gets kind of busy.
Do you need a park pass in order to get into the ELO?
You do not. They used to charge for parking, and you used to have a park pass years ago, but they gave that up in 2019. So that's nice that it's free access. Again, you don't have to worry about a charge for anything, or police coming by and tagging your car or anything like that. So that's a good thing. But again, we do have that gate that kind of closes it up after 10 o'clock, which makes it a little bit nicer for private observing. You know, and I've said it about a dozen times already, and this isn't very far into this presentation, but ELO is the public, you know, our outreach place. So public observing nights and other events available to the public are really the main things that we do there. So we hold these public nights or public star parties almost every first quarter and third quarter moon during that weekend during the warmer months, typically on Saturday night. We always staff the observatory with volunteers during the public nights, whether it's clear or cloudy. The only exception to that is if it's really severe storms or tornadoes or something like that you don't want to be out in. But whether it's clear or cloudy, we have volunteers that man public nights. Now the public nights officially begin at 7 p.m. and end at 10 p.m. Although, you know, summertime, and if it's clear, we'll most likely be staying later to observe. The 10 o'clock official ending time is in place so that if it's cloudy, we can close up at a reasonable time and get out of there. And if it's clear, we'll of course be showing off what we can see in the telescopes. But if it's cloudy, we typically substitute presentations in the hotspot classroom and provide tours of the equipment in the observatory. So once MES members go through the requisite training at Eagle Lake, they can access the facility at any time, like I mentioned. With the facilities, the 3 buildings and the large amount of equipment at ELO, you know, not only the telescopes themselves, but also the audio visual system for presentations and for displaying images from the visual rig. Training can take quite a while. I mentioned that, you know, it can take up to 5 or 6 hours. Now, Merle Hiltner holds several training sessions per year, and, you know, they cover access to all of the buildings, the working of all the telescopes, the alarm system, and all of that. And again, because ELO is our primary public outreach facility, in order to become trained, one requirement is, again, maintaining key holder status is to assist with operation of the site, either helping parties or simply helping perform some maintenance work at work parties once or twice a year. Typically after the training sessions, which are held on a Saturday afternoon, we break for dinner, and then we're encouraged to come back for that evening's public observing night to help out and also to gain some experience on the training we just received.
Good.
So this is the first of my many obligatory COVID procedure slides. So at this time, we've relaxed the rules. We basically follow the state of Minnesota guidelines for COVID precautions. And that simply means, you know, at this point in time, it's pretty much rolled back. And it now boils down to common sense stuff. So we recommend you maintain current vaccinations. If you're sick, you know, try to stay away. Yeah, don't come. If you're concerned, wear a mask, and especially when in close contact with others. So, you know, when we're in tight areas, of course, that's the place where you can spread contagions. But if you're spread out, usually people aren't too worried about that. So maintain common sense is what it boils down to. In addition to the regular star parties, so one of the major events that we have at Eagle Lake Observatory is Camping with the Stars. Whoops, and it went ahead on me again. You know what I'm going to talk about next? Let's get to the right spot here. Camping with the Stars, it's an annual event that started in the mid-aughts, when Astronomy magazine published an article stating they were working with REI stores to hold a Camp Out with the Stars event hosted by several astronomy clubs or societies simultaneously across the Midwest. And we were one of those. But the problem is the magazine was our first notice of it. So we looked into it and thought it was a good idea. So we went forward with the first Camp Out with the Stars and had a great event there that time. Now, although Astronomy magazine never had any follow through of any events, subsequent events, we had so much success that we decided to continue it annually ever since. And since it became our event, we renamed it Camping with the Stars, since that's kind of goes along with Dancing with the Stars, and it's easier to say. So anyway, Camping with the Stars will be held in 2023 from July 21st through 23rd. Now, the difference between this and public star parties, or private star parties for that matter, all of those events, there's no charge for. But this is kind of a regional star party, and as such, it's a paid event. Paid participants, if I can get that word out, can camp overnight on the ball field in front of the observatory or in the Baylor campground. You can also just, of course, come out for individual days as well. And being a regional star party event, we have a starbecue one evening typically. We have door prizes and stuff like that. So both door prizes and just drawing a blank on the name, a drawing, so a drawing type prize. But anyway, it's a great event once a year, and it's multi-days, and you can come for one day or for the whole time. So moving south from Eagle Lake, which is out on the west, moving south to Cherry Grove down there. So unlike Eagle Lake, whose prime mission is public outreach, Cherry Grove is primarily intended for use by MES members. Although, if the public shows up, and they do occasionally during Star Party, we'll certainly welcome them and give them views through our scopes. Now, Cherry Grove is the only property that the MES owns outright. It's located on a suburban-sized lot on the corner of two county roads, Goodhue County 1 and Dodge County A. And the picture on the upper left shows most of the property. And yes, since we're on Goodhue County 1 and Dodge County A, behind the person taking the picture on that upper left, Dodge County is behind you and Goodhue County is in front of you. So on the site, we have a warming house, which is that white structure, the observatory, which is the primarily red structure. We also have that little tarp shed that's attached to the warming house. We'll talk about that in a couple of seconds. And then, of course, a permanently mounted porta potty, and then just a small tool shed.
With heated seat, by the way.
Which has a heated seat, by the way. Yeah, the reason we made the porta potty, just to go into a little detail we probably don't need, but the reason we made it a permanently located one instead of just a rented one is that we wanted to have a red light in there that we can turn on, have some hooks for coats in there, and also have the heated seat. So that's all on a timer. So, when somebody shows up first thing in colder months, you can turn a timer and turn it on and not have to worry about when you leave, did I shut it off or not?
Yeah.
One thing that we also have, which is not shown in these pictures, is this year we put some additional observing pads. So in addition to those couple of pads that you really don't even see on this picture, you will on the next one, but we have quite a few observing pads out in the field, and also a concrete walkway that we can bring that big Dobsonian out there onto its observing pad. So here's a little bit different panorama of the field. So the picket fences are primarily light fences to block lights from the neighbor to the west, which is that stained fence on the left side, and the headlights from cars coming down south on Goodhue County 1 from the north. That's that unstained one up on the north side of the property there. And then also that couple of sections of fence that are just south of the observatory. The observatory roof rolls back partially to uncover the LX200 visual rig and the imaging rig that we have down there. The northern part of that observatory, as you can kind of see and saw from the previous slide, that has the double doors that allow access to the 24-inch Starmaster truss knob, which is affectionately called the BAD, which stands for Big Aperture Dobsonian. And that's the one that's rolled out to the concrete pad, known as the BAD pad for use. And incidentally, the BAD was the MES's first large-scale Dobsonian scope. It was obtained in 2004, and it's lived at Cherry Grove pretty much ever since then. The lower left picture on this slide is the interior of the warming house, which is not typically, it is equipped with electric heat, which is baseboard heat underneath the benches on the east side that you see, and then behind the camera on the west side, and a little bit of storage, of course, an air conditioner that's on that east wall, and a fridge and a microwave oven in there, so you can heat up stuff for a midnight snack. And one thing, it's possible to, the benches also have cushions on them, which aren't shown in this picture because it's a little bit older. But it is possible to lay down and take a quick nap if you want. But one thing we request, if you really get tired and you're thinking you're going to sleep overnight, don't shut off the lights and kind of hog the thing. We don't want to exclude other people from using the warming house in the middle of a star party. So the upper left of this picture is what Cherry Grove looks like when you're getting almost to it, heading down south from Dodge County, or Goodhue County 1 rather. I messed that one up. So Cherry Grove is located about 20 miles south of Cannon Falls. From the cities, you take Highway 52 south as if you're going to head to Rochester. And a few miles south of Cannon Falls, you turn on to Goodhue County 1 west, which actually takes you about 100 feet west before you start turning south. And you keep going south until you get to the T in the road, where you find Cherry Grove on your right. Once you get there, inside the observatory, the 16-inch LX200 classic scope on the left is primarily a visual rig. Again, this one, just like the LX200 that's mounted out at Eagle Lake, this one is also mounted to altitude azimuth. It's not on an equatorial platform right now. And then the right side, the picture on the right, is the imaging platform, which consists of a Muon, and I've forgotten what scopes are on it. But anyway, a couple of really good high-end scopes, both equipped with imaging cameras. And also there's a laptop on a cart. So all you have to do is, after you get trained on the imaging rig, you just bring a USB memory stick with you, and you can bring the images you've created home from CGO. In addition to the two permanent platforms that are in the observatory, we also have inside the warming house a couple of on-site loaner scopes. The one on the left, the white one, is a 10-inch Meade Dobsonian, and the one on the right is an 8-inch Jamel Dobsonian. And they're both, again, as I said, on-site loaner scopes for use on a first-come, first-served basis. If you came in a group, or you didn't have enough room in your own car, or if you simply don't have a scope yet and you want to try one out down at Cherry Grove.
So they're loaner for use only at Cherry Grove.
Exactly.
You don't take them home.
You do not take them home. They are equipped with with finders and everything, and they also have eyepieces and the charts with them, which are off in the corner, stored on a shelf in the corner. But yeah, they are for use on site at Cherry Grove. In addition to the two scopes there, we also have that large binoculars there that's on a tripod, and that blue cover covers up a first surface mirror, so you can actually get binocular views of the sky by looking down, so you don't have to crick your neck
Nice.
on that. For training, I'll have to cover that a little bit. For training, we have several different levels of training at Cherry Grove. So first, without any training, anybody can use the field at any time without becoming a key holder. Again, we own the property, so there aren't any restrictions for that. Now, if you want to have just access to the warming house, if you want to use your own equipment out on the field, but you want to be able to warm up, or use the refrigerator, or use the microwave, or just rest inside and warm up, you can go through a very short training course on the facilities, and you get a key code for the warming house. If you want to get trained on the Alcus 200 or on the BAD, you'll get a key code that opens the warming house and the observatory, and also allows you to disable the observatory alarm system. And same thing, if you want to get trained on the imaging platform, that training takes a little bit longer. I guess it's kind of a couple of hours, but you also get that same key code that opens up everything. And again, because we own that facility, you can access it anytime. So that's really nice with that imaging rig, that you can go out in the middle of the week if you're retired or have a couple of days off or something, and you can use the place. To reiterate, 2 levels and 3 specific platforms for training at Cherry Grove. First level just gives you access to the warming house, and it's intended for you, those of you that want to just use your own equipment at Cherry Grove. And then that second level provides access to everything, including the observatory as well as the warming house. And you can get trained on the BAD, or you can get trained on the LX200 or the imaging platform, or any combination of them, because they all give you access to that second level, getting at the observatory. And as far as COVID, again, COVID obligatory rules, common sense, it's not quite as crowded at Cherry Grove. We'll typically get anywhere from 5 to 20 people during a star party. So it's not as crowded as it can get at Eagle Lake. But again, if you're sick, stay away. If you're not sick, come on down. And if you're uncomfortable, wear a mask. And if you're comfortable, go ahead and not wear a mask. So it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so that was a quick overview of Cherry Grove. That was down south. So now let's move way up north to Long Lake Conservation Center. LLCC is the MES's very darkest sky site, and it's located up in Aiken County, which has about 15,000 people in the county and 1 stoplight, and that's in Aiken itself. First, a little bit about LLCC itself. So LLCC's main mission, in addition to being kind of the community center for Aiken County, its main mission is outdoor environmental education for grade school kids. School districts in the Twin Cities will take a busload of kids up on Monday mornings where they're run ragged, learning about lake ecology, peat bog ecology, woodland ecology, orienteering, and even how wolves live in the wilderness throughout those days. And then they stay in bunk rooms overnight until midday Wednesday, where that group gets on the bus and goes back home, and another group of kids come up from another school and do the same thing from midday Wednesday until they leave on Friday afternoon. So you can see there's going to be kids there all week, and also there's a lot of other things happening. So a lot of things happening at LLCC, which precludes our use all the time. So the main difference between LLCC and the other observing sites is, again, their primary mission, and also other groups using it. So we're limited to star parties only pre-scheduled, only on the scheduled weekends. But the one thing nice about it is that those another difference is that because both of how LLCC is equipped and also the fact that it's so far away from the Twin Cities, it's about 2.5 hours up there. We hold star parties beginning Friday night and lasting through Saturday night, and people going home on Sunday morning. So you can come there Friday night only, or Friday and Saturday, or just Saturday. But the cool part about it is that you have overnight accommodations, so you can sleep. So the overnight accommodations for star parties, it's in the Markham House, which is the upper left-hand picture here. And that has bunk beds and bunk rooms equipped with showers, toilets, and sinks in addition to the bunk beds themselves. You do need to bring your own soap and toiletries and stuff like that, and towels and pillows and sleeping bag or bed dressing. But the rooms allow you a good place to sleep after observing. You can sleep in as late as you want, and you can clean up yourself in the morning. Just basically, we ask that you leave the room as, clean it up and leave it as clean as it was when you came in there. Now, the North Star Lodge on the lower right-hand corner of this picture is also equipped with bunk rooms, but we'll talk more about that later, as we generally only use it for our Northern Night Star Fest, the annual regional star party at LLCC. So LLCC is home to the 2 largest telescopes that are owned by the MES, the 25-inch and the 30-inch Obsession Trust Obs. They're both stored in that observatory, which is actually more of just a garage structure located on the orienteering field and the field in front of it. As you can see on the right-hand side, there's that long lake right there. So LLCC is named for the lake on that right side of the map. Now, parking is available in a couple of different spots. It's available near the observing field. You can see on the left side of the left center of that map, there's the observing field and that little blue parking area. Actually, I take that back. Just up above it, that parking area. There's also a parking area just to the left of that. Or you can park down by the Markham House. So lots of different parking. There's a few walks around there. The Markham House bunk is to the east there, kind of the lower right-hand picture, not too far from the Long Lake building itself, the lake itself. And Also notice there's a dining hall up there not too far away from the field. That will become important when we talk about the Northern Night Starfest. And let's move a little bit here. Okay, so where is it located? It's just south of Palisade, Minnesota. That's their address, is Palisade, kind of northwest of McGregor, Minnesota. And fortunately, there are good driving directions on the MS website. Here's a map of the area. You can see LLCC is just a little bit south of Palisade, and it's off on a county road up there. A little bit northwest of McGregor, a little bit northeast of Aiken. So basically, depending on which way you want to come, which part of the Twin Cities that you live in, you can either come up 169 and go around on the west side of Mille Lacs, or come up 47 or even 65 on the right-hand side. If you're really on the east side of the Twin Cities, and which is where I'm at, it's easiest to just go up Interstate 35. I go to the Finlayson exit, go west a little bit until I hit 65, and then go up from there. So a lot of different ways to head up there. And again, we've got good directions on the website and in the back of the Gemini newsletter. So I mentioned the Northern Night Starfest just a little bit. This is the Northern Night Starfest is our regional star party, where we invite people from throughout the Midwest and any place else if they want to view our very dark northern Minnesota skies. NNSF is a multi-day event held around the new moon weekend, either in August or early September. So unlike member star parties, there is a fee to attend NNSF. You can opt for attending just the star party and using the bunks, or you can add a meal program to the purchase. With the meal plan, you can also get midnight snacks in that dining hall that I pointed out on that map. You sign up for Northern Night Starfest and pay on the Long Lake Conservation Center's website, not the MAS website. But it's a great event. You know, it's a regional star party. We've typically been getting about 50 people per star party, and of course you get to view through the 25 and 30-inch obsession scopes. Good setup for all of your own scopes on the field. We have door prizes. We have a swap meet, things like that, and presentations by both MAS club members and other experts. So the meals and snacks are provided by LLCC, and they're purchased a la carte in those meal plans with the pre-registration, which is why you have to register with LLCC instead of with ourselves.
And the other thing about that site is that when there aren't presentations or other things going on, there's all sorts of hikes, canoeing.
Yep, very good point. Yeah, and that's one thing nice about it. Since you're there for multiple days, you know, you can pop into the towns nearby to do stuff too. But there is a lot of hiking, and you can use the canoes. You can use other parts of the facility. So it's really nice wilderness place to be for several days. And here's the schedule for the next one coming up. So the 13th annual NNSF is going to be August 16th through 20 next year, the 2023. And again, the obligatory COVID-19 update. I really want to repeat that LLCC is not open to the public. Again, they've got a lot of other things going on up there. And only from our perspective, only MES members and their family can come to the LLCC star parties. You also should plan on, state your intention to attend the star party on the LLCC discussion forum to make sure that we have enough bunk rooms available for all the people on that assigned weekend. Okay, so that was the farthest site away. Now we'll get into the one that's closest to the Twin Cities, and that's Metcalf Observing Field. Metcalf is in rural Afton on the east side of the cities. So Metcalf is actually the MES's oldest observing site. It dates back to its origins in 1972 when Father Metcalf was a member of the MES, or actually he was the member of the TCAC, because we were first called the Twin City Astronomy Club, and he let members observe on that field near his home. And by the way, TCAC, of course, was the original name of the MES. Metcalf Field is now owned by the Bellwin Conservancy, and we'll get into that more on that in a few minutes. And this is the place where we hold most of the beginners observing sessions. Suresh Srinivasan schedules the monthly beginners special interest group observing meetings at Metcalf during all of the more warmer months of the year. And this is pretty much what you're seeing depicted here is trees to the north. So that's not too bad of a restriction. But anyway, we get a good turnout for the beginner special interest group meetings. Now, the BSIG meetings are often held at Metcalf Field. We do all of the observing sessions there. He occasionally does one out at Eagle Lake. But anyway, now the MES doesn't own the property, but there is unrestricted access to Metcalf. Everyone interested in observing there. So whether they're members of the MES or not, people keep showing up just because it's been there forever. We don't have an observatory or any permanent scopes there, but we do have power available and an outhouse, of course. And the field is available at all times for people to use their own equipment. Now, thanks to the growth of Oakdale and Woodbury over the years, Metcalf is now a kind of a sort of a suburban level of light pollution, but you can still see solar system objects really well, and most of the brighter deep sky objects. And while the site is open all the time, note that the driveway has a relatively steep incline, and access with snow might be a bit difficult. Also, there's a gate, a chain link gate across the front entrance, but it's never locked. So just pull up a few feet short of the gate, get out, open it up, drive up into the field where you can park anywhere and unload your equipment to observe. Now, we do, as I've said a bunch of times, we do have the BSIG observing meetings, and it gets kind of crowded there. So, I just said that you can park any place. Well, we actually do kind of direct the parking because we've had up to 100 people at beginners special interest group events. So it can get a little bit on the crowded side, but this is a great event to go to if you're starting out and you're not sure how to use your scope and want to find somebody that can give you a little bit of instruction, or you're having problems with it, or you simply need collimation or anything like that, or you just want to go together with some other people and learn how to do some observing, or just want to do it in a pretty decent sized group. So the BSIG events are really fun to go to, and you'll find both a combination of beginners and more experienced observers there to help out. So I mentioned Bellwin really briefly there. So Bellwin Conservancy is now the owner of the Metcalf Field property, and Bellwin purchased that property from the Science Museum of Minnesota, who had been granted it after Father Metcalf's death, until his estate kind of got upset at the Science Museum for not doing enough with it. So his estate decided it'd be better utilized by the Bellwin Conservancy. Now, Bellwin's main mission is dedicated to taking land within the St. Croix Valley area and restoring it to its native grassland state, and getting rid of buckthorn and stuff like that that's non-native plants and grasses. Anyway, as such, when we visit Bellwin, we need to take care to preserve the native grasslands around the areas that we use for observing. And you can see by the bullet points here in the slide, we began a relationship with Bellwin around 2008 or so, and then began construction of the Joseph J. Casby Observatory, often abbreviated to just JJC or JJCO, in 2009. And now the Joseph Casby Observatory holds our largest refracting telescope, which is the 10-inch TMB refractor. That's the big brother to the 8-inch TMB refractor that's in Sylvia Casby out at Eagle Lake. So where are these guys located? So they're both east of the Twin Cities, just off of I-94 near Afton. So to get to Metcalf Field, take the frontage road to the Indian Trail Drive, and then go about 1.1 miles until coming around a fairly sharp curve where you can enter Metcalf. You have to keep a sharp eye out for the small reflective markers and the gates to gain access to it. You can reach Bellwin itself by either continuing all the way to the other end of the Indian Trail Road, and then turning south a couple of blocks, and then Bellwin is on your left. Or you could have, when you started on the frontage road, keep going down the frontage road till you got to Stagecoach Trail South and head south on that till you get to Bellwin. Once you get to Bellwin, this is a map of the property itself that we go on. You'll notice when you get there, you'll notice the Bellwin headquarters, which is the office and shop that's up on kind of a rise there off of the dirt road. And then you go past that and turn left. And this is path through the woods. It is plowed during the wintertime, but it isn't, it's a bumpy path and stuff. Regular cars can take it, no problem. But anyway, you take that path through the woods all the way up to the Bellwin Education Center, which has a little parking lot that's kind of off in the trees there. And then the Joseph Casby Observatory is right outside of the trees and stuff. So this is what it looks like from overhead. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see the observatory there, and you can just kind of barely see the roof of the, whoops, try that again, the education center in the trees over there. So we're really close to that. The other pictures here are a couple of pictures during construction on the upper right, and then just in the springtime on the lower left. Now, in addition to the observatory itself, we have 4 observing pads that are on that gravel area on the south side of the building. So inside the observatory, again, that's that 8-inch TMB refractor, and it's also equipped with a couple of other scopes on an astrophysics mount. So again, now this one's a little bit smaller than the Sylvia Casby Observatory out at Eagle Lake, but still, I take that back. This one's the bigger one. I had that backwards. This is the little bit bigger one because it's a little bit bigger scope. But this was the first one of those that we built. Now, once you're trained on both the use and conservation of Bellwin property and operations of the scope themselves, as an MAS member, you can use the scopes at any time. So again, this is one that we don't own the property, but we do have unrestricted access to the place. Here's a couple of views of the area surrounding the Joseph Casby Observatory. You can kind of see the pads on the left side here on the south side of the observatory, the sign heading over there. And this was a picture taken during construction of it, looking out to the west. It's just thought it was a pretty picture to have. Now, again, here's some details on the Joseph Casby training and MES member access. Although members can use the observatory at any time, with the exception of during some scheduled Bellwin events, it's not open to the public. It's available to MES members and their immediate guests only, and you must either be trained or accompany somebody else that's trained to get in there. And again, like all of the other sites, we have an alarm system that you'll get the combination for when you get trained on it. Obligatory COVID instructions, same thing as before. Also, I haven't really talked about it a lot, but we want people to sign up so we know when people are coming and going. ISP stands for Impromptu Star Party. I'll talk about that in a little bit more later. But basically, we sign up to let the rest of the members know that, hey, we're going to be going out to Joseph Casby Observatory on such and such a night, whether you want to use it exclusively or if you're letting other people come along with you and inviting them. But sign up on the forums for the Star Party, and just come on out then. And that way we have a little bit of a record of who's been there. Those are the main sites that we have. So 5 observing sites, 4 observatory sites. The other non-MES observing sites that people tend to use are Carver Park Reserve, which is out west, not too far away from Eagle Lake Observatory, but a little closer in, and Creeks Meadows, which is north near Grantsburg, Wisconsin, and then the Cedar Creek Ecosystem Science Reserve in a little bit north of the Twin Cities in East Bethel, Minnesota. That one, I don't have much more information about it. We're kind of at the beginning of the relationship. I know we're working with Caitlin Potter, try that again, Dr. Caitlin Potter to get some scopes in there and do some stuff, but we're kind of at the beginning of the relationship. So you should be able to see more information happen on that one, over the course of the next year here. But the ones that we have worked with, Carver Park Reserve, I've been there personally one time, and very little local light pollution. The skies are about as dark as Eagle Lake. You can see where Eagle Lake is way off on the left-hand side of the picture here. Carver Park Reserve is over by St. Bonnie. And you do have to get on the MES approved list by contacting Suresh Srinivasan, who's again the BSIG coordinator, and he'll submit your information to the park board. So you do have to, work through him, and then they put you on the list for being able to access it. We do have instructions that are pretty explicit on the web forums how to get there. So really nice place. I've been there again just one time, but good skies, nice and easy access and everything to get to. Another one, again, the other one, Crex Meadows, that one's up near Danbury, Wisconsin. You can see if you go up 35 and go to, I think you take, what's the easiest way to get there? Go to Rock Creek and then head east to Grantsburg and then go up a little ways to the Crex Meadows wildlife area. Now it's very dark and has very flat horizons. The bad news is that it's a swampy area with lots of mosquitoes. When I've been there, I was swatting really badly. So be sure to bring along a lot of mosquito repellent if you're going to use the place in the warmer months. In the winter, I think it'd be just fine. Now, there are no access restrictions to Crex Meadows, and detailed information on the Crex Meadows State Wildlife Area is available on their website. This is what it looks like. Here's a map from their website of what the place looks like. These numbers on here are for a self-guided tour around the area, so you can see various things. Stop number 11 is where Rigel Overlook, which is the place that we use for observing. It's basically just a gravel parking lot, kind of at that curve there, and you know, the thing is, other people may be wandering around through there. So what I would recommend is, if you want to try it without having somebody shining their headlights at you, maybe make up a little cardboard sign or something and say, astronomers observing, you know, please shut off lights or something like that. So they'll walk away. Otherwise, you might have some people that are there for other purposes shining lights on you and going, what the heck are you doing there? Okay, so those are the main places that we observe. Let's talk about the star party information. So again, we can observe at Eagle Lake, Cherry Grove, Metcalf, Bellwyn, LLCC, and of course those other non-MAS sites. Now the member star parties with multiple participants mostly held at Cherry Grove and at Long Lake Conservation Center. Eagle Lake Observatory is available all the time, but we don't schedule member star parties there. We only schedule the public star parties, but that doesn't mean you can't go there. I kind of briefly mentioned impromptu star parties when ISP came up on the slide there. So unscheduled star parties are called these impromptu star parties, ISPs. And just by posting your intent on the MAS discussion forums, you can declare an ISP at Eagle Lake, Cherry Grove, Metcalf, or Joseph Casby at Bellwyn. And either you declare it, you know, say that, hey, I'm going to be going out there. I want to use this part of the observatory exclusively, or I'm willing to share things, or I'm just using the outside, whatever you want to do. Just kind of state what you plan on doing, and whether you want to be private, or if you want to let others come along or encourage others to come along. That's all we ask, is just kind of a quick identification of what you're planning on doing. Now, conversely, Long Lake Conservation Center up north is available only during the specifically scheduled star party weekends and for NNSF. Now, years ago, we used to make go, no-go calls. The observing chair used to take a look at the weather, take a look at all of the considerations and say, yes, the star party is on or off. Well, we kind of got away from that because everybody has access to the same facilities to figure out if it's clear or cloudy. You can go to, you know, whatever your favorite weather observing or weather prediction site is, or going to cleardarksky.com or clearoutside.com or a couple of other ones. And we do have these prediction websites linked on the MAS website, but we're basically saying, you know, just take a look at what the conditions are, make your own determination whether you want to go or not. And then, you know, if it's a big one, you know, go ahead and mention that you're planning on going and head out. I've got that last bullet point here. Star party attendance is not mandatory, and there's always a chance you'll be the only one to attend. The reason we put this up is there was a long time ago, we had an event, we had a star party scheduled at Metcalf Field simultaneously with a big event going on out at Eagle Lake Observatory. And, you know, normally everybody gravitated toward Eagle Lake Observatory and nobody showed up at Metcalf. Well, it turns out somebody that was not a member, and they were thinking, they looked on the schedule and saw, hey, we've got a star party at Metcalf, headed over to Metcalf. First, they had a hard time finding it because they didn't read the instructions real well, you know, right around the corner and look for the reflectors. So he complained about not being able to find it, but also then he complained about nobody showed up. I was going to have somebody help me out with my telescope, and I wanted to learn about stuff, but there was nobody there. So what the heck's going on with you folks? And that's why we have this bullet point here that if you want assistance, come to a BSIG observing meeting, or come to a BSIG meeting itself, or come to Eagle Lake at the public star party. We're willing to help out people. It's just the only place we have volunteers that are dedicated, whether it's going to be cloudy or not, are at Eagle Lake public star parties. So the only word of caution in there. Okay, so I guess another COVID-19 update. So again, all of the star parties are following whatever the current Minnesota state guideline rules. We have those posted up on the website, so take a look at the current ones. And all the star parties beyond the ELO public observing nights and the scheduled events are considered ISPs, like I talked about a few minutes ago. And we do request that you do pre-register on the discussion sites. And back during the COVID pandemic time, we were limited by Minnesota state rules to have only 10 people in a thing. So at that point, it was really mandatory to do the pre-registration. That's not such a big deal now, thank goodness. So star parties themselves, this is another common sense kind of thing. So general star party etiquette is to avoid blinding others with white lights. It takes about a half an hour for a person's eyes to fully adjust to the dark. It's not just your pupils constricting, but it's also the chemical change inside your eyes with the visual purple chemical process. And just a flash of bright white light or even a bright red light can really start the process all over again. Now, having said that, we know that most modern cars have automatic lights that can't be fully shut off, but we simply ask, plan your entrance and exit to avoid interrupting others more than necessary. If you're planning on leaving early, maybe park, back into your parking spot and turn on your parking lights when you leave so your headlights aren't pointing toward the field, things like that. So just be good. The only place that we really have the light police is during the Northern Night Star Fest or the member star parties up at Long Lake Conservation Center, because it is so dark up there that people really want to preserve their night vision. Okay, so just kind of a reiteration of everything. At Eagle Lake, so the park installed that automated gate system in 2015, and we have the procedure on the ELO key holder form. That gate is open from 6 to 10, 365 days. Try that again. Yeah, from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., 365 days a year, and it's closed at 10 p.m. Mentioned all that before, so I don't need to go through that stuff that we have. And again, Cherry Grove, MES members and guests, we own the place, so we don't have any restrictions on the field. Just be a trained key holder or come along with somebody that is trained, or make sure that somebody has said that they're trained that's coming down there in those ISP notifications. Metcalf Observing Field, no restrictions. We don't own the property, but anybody is welcome, member or not, anytime. And Joseph Casby, again, MES members and guests only, except during Bellwin events when they have people, because they actually have their own staff trained on the observatory as well. And of course, you have to be trained on the observatory and equipment, and the Bellwin policy about, don't stomp on the grass or be with someone who is trained. So you can be an MES member and not be trained, but make sure someone else is there. And again, no time restriction at Joseph Casby for key holders. LLCC, again, I reiterate, because they have so many other things going on, that we just do the scheduled star parties for MES members only. We don't have access to the place any other time. Okay, so from star parties and star party locations and stuff like that to the rest of the things going on with the club. So some of the communications, the different things that we have going on, the monthly meetings, the website communication, the other channels of electronic communication we have. So we'll talk about all of that in a little bit more detail on the following slides here. So our monthly meetings, they're held at 7 o'clock on the first Thursday of every month. We hold them now at the site of the former Fairview Community Center, and that's the NP there, I got it. NP Education Center, and that's on County Road B in Roseville, south of Highway 36, just west of Fairview Avenue. The meetings last about 2 hours, ending about 9 o'clock when the center closes. In addition to holding the meetings in person, we also hold them online using Zoom. The URL for the meeting will always be shown on the MAS homepage at least a day before the meeting. And we also record all of the meetings so we can play them later on the MAS YouTube channel. Now, once in a while, maybe once every 3 or 4 years, the main presenter may want to present the meeting from a different location. Like a couple of times we've had the professors present at the Tate Hall of Physics on the U of M campus. Or I think once or twice we've actually held a monthly meeting out at Eagle Lake Observatory. But when that occurs, it's very, very infrequent. But when that does occur, we'll have directions on the website. But just a reminder, take a look at the website before you head out for the first Thursday of the month. 99.9% of the time it's going to be at the Enpitutika Education Center, but it could be somewhere else. So the meetings are the first Thursday of the month, as I mentioned, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And oh yeah, okay, so before March 2022, we held it only online, but we started holding them in person again. And okay, on the slide I say they're recommended to wear a mask, but most of us don't anymore. Again, same common sense stuff. So but it is available online. You can use a PC, a tablet, a smartphone, if you want to look at a little bitty picture, or simply over a telephone line. All of that stuff is published on the announcement on the homepage. So we do ask that you try to mute your line and disable your video to keep the bandwidth down and to avoid disruption, because even the people that are in the meeting are going to hear anybody talking on the Zoom meeting. So try to not cause any interruptions if you can, but if you need to speak up, go ahead and do it. I thought I had a picture. Okay, oh yeah, I guess I had it on this slide. I was looking at the pictures of the meeting room. You can see it's a pretty good sized meeting room. We have classroom style seating there, and two projectors on the front side and 2 on the left and 2 on the right, so you can sit anywhere you like and have a good picture. Okay, so when you joined or when you renewed your membership, you will have gotten a new membership card. The card's informational only, and with the date of your membership, the date your membership is due for renewal, and the sites you're a key holder at on the front side, at least if the site managers have told me that you got trained, so I can add it to the database. The back side contains useful information, contacts, telephone numbers and contact information in case you run into any difficulty at any of the observing sites. I've redacted it on this presentation because this is going to be posted up on YouTube, so I didn't want all of our telephone numbers available on the YouTube, but it's all available on the back of the actual card themselves. Down at the bottom there, that plastic name badge, those are designed to help identify MAS members at the meeting, so we get to learn who each other is. You request the plastic ID badge by filling out a form when attending a monthly meeting and turning it into Chris, and your badge will be ready for you at the next meeting. And we used to have them all stored on a big board that we kept them all there, but that got a little bit too much of a pain, so everybody just carries their own badge now. I typically, for example, keep mine in the console of my car so I can pick it up when I go inside. And you can see on the on this thing where the expiration date is, so when you're due for renewal, and also this key appears with whatever sites that you're signed up, that you're trained for, if you've gotten training at any of the sites. And the site managers have told me that you're trained, so I can put it in there. Okay, so onto the website. It's been revamped spring of 2022, so it's a nice modern website. It used to be really hard to view from mobile devices, smartphones and stuff. It has links across the top to all of the detail pages. You can see information from beginners and for information on membership below the logo there. Also the upcoming public events, so we don't always have the most recent calendar of events sitting up on here. This picture is a little bit old here, but you see all of that always is on the first page with links on the first page. across the top of the banner, like for beginners, it'll have beginner resources, public star party schedule, members, how to join or renew your membership, things like that, outreach requests. If you go to the about section, it's about the leadership. So those slides that I showed early on showing how to get at the board, how to get it, how to see who the other leaders are, partnerships with our other organizations, accessing the Gemini newsletter, the MAS store, which we'll talk about that a little bit later, handouts and a privacy policy. Under membership, the member benefits, how to join or renew your membership, how to update membership information, which gives me as the membership coordinator, if you move or you change your email address or your phone number or something like that, please fill out that update member information thing and send me the information so I can keep it current in the database so we can find you. Anyway, observatory key holders, the loaner scope program is accessed from the membership one. The MAS forums are accessed from the membership dropdown, and getting at the store and those weather locations, so the site predictions is available from the membership tab. Under events, of course, we have Astronomy Day, spring and fall. I haven't talked about that too much. Camping with the Stars, which is that Eagle Lake annual event. The meetings, the Northern Nights Starfest up at Long Lake Conservation Center annually. We have in the spring the Messier Marathon, and actually in the fall we have the MAS Mini Messier Marathon, the 4M. Star Party schedules, the Virgo Venture, which occurs later in the spring, and then outreach request. Under facilities, have the rules for the facilities and then information about each of the facilities. So if you didn't listen to this presentation, or if I went too fast through something, all of that information is on the website under each of those categories. So that's a quick overview of the main website. One of the most important aspects of the website is the MAS discussion forums. So when you sign in, the page is opened up to more topics than you can see when browsing it anonymously. Also, I don't believe you can post topics unless you've obtained a form ID and you've signed in. There's a lot of different ways to navigate the forums and to be notified of new topics or additional conversations within a topic that's going on. Generally, what I do is I look at the unread messages. So you can see these are highlighted with red if there are some messages that, a new message or answers to other things in a forum discussion. So I can just pop down there and take a look at it. That's my typical way of doing it. Also, you can manage things a little bit. You can sort on looking at your posts, or just on new posts, or just on unread posts, stuff like that. You can search for other members by their forum ID and stuff like that. And also, this shows your permissions, whether you can post topics to the forum, and they'll change from forum to forum. Like, Eagle Lake key holders. If you're not an ELO key holder, you can't access that forum, or you can't reply to it, or things like that. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting, you can get email notifications of changes to the forum, new messages that are posted, and this subscribe forum is absolutely backwards. The check mark means you want to subscribe to the forum, not that you are subscribed to the forum. So you uncheck it to start receiving the email notifications. Don't shoot the messenger. I didn't build it. That's just the way PHPBB works. Okay, since one of the main benefits of being a member of the MAS is to be able to interact with the other members and to learn from other members, we request that when you sign up and create your form ID, you use something that can actually identify you to other members, rather than using the typical, I'm on the internet, I want to be totally anonymous type of thing. So instead of something like Stargazer 1-2, use something related to your name. Like here, Ron Schmidt actually uses his full name for his username. I didn't go quite that far. I had my first initial and last name, but we both used a picture. I just had a straightforward picture, and Ron dolled it up with a picture of him in a space suit because he's a NASA ambassador. But something that can help identify each other, so we're just not anonymously posting things on here. In addition to the discussion forum, something that provides a little bit more immediate communication is Slack. Now, we've recently obtained that organizational license for Slack, and because it has a limited number of user licenses, we did have to limit the MES Slack licenses to the current members. Unlike the discussion forums, you don't necessarily have to be a member of the MES to join the discussion forums. But Slack differs from the discussion forums in that it can be used as a more immediate means of communication between members, especially when you're using a smartphone app. So you'll get a ding when something comes up in the topics that you've subscribed to. In addition to the discussion forums and Slack, we also have a YouTube channel. I've mentioned that a couple of times because we're going to post this presentation up there. So we do record those monthly MES meetings and upload them to YouTube a couple of days after the thing for later playback. We also have some other additional instructional material on YouTube. And to find it, simply search Minnesota Astronomical Society on YouTube to find our videos. And there's a picture of Dave Faulkner, who's going to be our upcoming, he's our past president and our upcoming secretary once we go through the non-contested election in December. So in addition to all of the web-based things, we do have a message service and a phone. This is kind of historical. It used to be a really major means of communication. We used to, years ago, have the go, no-go calls posted on that thing. But right now, it's mainly an answering service for inquiries from the public and from the media. Be aware that the messages are checked fairly infrequently, like maybe every couple of weeks. So it may take some time to get a response from an inquiry left there. By the way, this same telephone number rings a phone inside the Onan Observatory. So if you do happen to call during a public star party, there's a good chance somebody might actually pick that one up. But other times it always just goes to the answering service.
So a better way to communicate is to fill out that form.
Absolutely. Yeah, you'll get a lot better response by filling out the web communication form. Or go on the discussion forum, because most of the active members are monitoring that fairly often, or doing Slack, of course.
Yeah.
So on to some of the publications. These are the publications associated with being a member of the MES. Gemini. Supposed to be Gemini. I've been pronouncing it wrong all these years. Anyway, Gemini is our own newsletter, and it's now published electronically bi-monthly. The articles are totally sourced from MES members. We don't do any outside authors or anything. So we'd love it if you can submit any article regarding anything you've done in regards to amateur astronomy, whether it's how you got started in it, some trip that you may have taken, or some little widget that you've built, or anything that you can think of. It's always going to be of interest to someone else. And as a member of the MES, you're also a member of the Astronomical League, or the AL. You'll also get copies of their quarterly newsletter style newsletter type magazine called The Reflector. It may take a little bit of time for that to start up, but you'll definitely get it quarterly. You should also get electronic or email notification of the electronic version of that thing too. Now, the AL also has a north central region of the AL, and they have a Northern Lights newsletter. Now, that's another electronic publication, just like our own Gemini newsletter. Now, that one you do have to go to their site and sign up for that. So you can see the sign there, and we have all of this information on member benefits too, so you can go to that to get the link for signing up. But you get that one. That one, I believe, is bi-monthly as well. It's either bi-monthly or quarterly. I'm forgotten how often I get it. Let's see. Anyway, okay, so, and also in addition to all of these newsletters, you can sign up for astronomy and sky and telescope magazines at a club discount. I'll talk to that a little bit more specifically on the next slide here. So this S&T and the astronomy subscriptions. So it used to be years ago that you had to subscribe to these things to get the club discount. You had to subscribe through the club. That put a lot of pain and agony on both the members and ourselves. It put a lot of delay in it because of requests just sitting in the mailbox for a few weeks. And it seemed like Sky and Telescope especially was really good at losing the letters. So fortunately, a few years back, both Sky and Telescope and Astronomy Magazine set up procedures so that you can get a subscription to either of those magazines directly without having to go through the club. So you can now go online to the addresses indicated and subscribe online, or you can call their customer service number at the number indicated. Just say that you're a member of the MES and you pay directly using a credit card, or if you don't want to use credit cards and want to do a check, you can ask either of the magazines to send you a form, and then you can mail that back in with your check. But either way, you can go directly to them and get your magazine renewed. You can also, if you have an existing subscription, you can renew it at the club discount price. Actually, let me back up, because these are the discount prices. So Sky and Telescope, it's currently $43.95 annual, and that's for a print plus a digital subscription, compared to a standard subscription of $54.95. So what, 11 bucks off of a year subscription. Astronomy magazine gives you the option to go for $34 for 1 year, or $60 for 2 years, or $83 for 3 years. So they'll have a multi-year discount. A standard subscription without any discounts is $58.95. So that's a pretty good discount for being a member of an astronomy club. So I'll pop back through that one. Okay. So then, enough of the publications. So special interest groups. So, the hobby of astronomy is kind of interesting in that there are a lot of subcategories that you can concentrate in if you want, depending on what your specific interests are. And quite a while ago, we've established several special interest groups, which we simply call SIGs. And some of them are really active, and a couple of them are only infrequently active. And we'll go into the ones that are most active in the next couple of slides. So I've mentioned this quite a bit before, the Beginners Special Interest Group. It's a web discussion forum, and we do hold monthly meetings, which occasionally we might miss one, but it's almost every month. And it's a really good place to start. Both beginners and experienced amateur astronomers participate in the BSIG. Now, Suresh, the MES BSIG coordinator, scheduled the beginner star parties every month through the warmer months. Now, they're usually held at Metcalf Field, but he's held 1 or 2 out at Eagle Lake once in a while. And they've really been growing in popularity over the years. Now it's easy to see 50. We've even seen this year a couple of times when we have almost 100 people attending the thing. Now, those things don't work too well when there's a lot of snow on the ground. So in the winter months, Suresh substitutes presentation style meetings. Now, these may be held in person again. When they are held in person, they're held in public library meeting rooms, or they may be held online using Zoom. Now, the next one coming up December 17th is going to be online using Zoom. So I know that one, and the January 6th or 7th, whatever the Saturday is, that'll also be a Zoom meeting. But again, keep watch. That's always on the MES homepage, saying whether it's going to be in person, or if it's going to be a Zoom, or if it's going to be out at the observing site. But again, it's a really good place if you've got a new scope and don't know how to use it, or you've got problems with it, or you just want to get some ideas on how to observe, or anything you want. Just come on out to a beginner SIG. Now, we're all beginners of one sort or another, so don't have any pride in not wanting to ask questions. So the main thing everybody thinks about when with amateur astronomy is observing. So there's a huge things associated with observing. So the observing SIG itself is really kind of a forum-based SIG to discuss observing topics. And most of our observing, of course, is done at MES member star parties and at the Eagle Lake public star parties, and at our scheduled observing events. So one part of the observing SIG is presentation of the Astro League Observing Awards during the monthly meetings. Unfortunately, I need to update these pictures. These pictures are a little bit old. They're showing Greg Hobrick, who is a very experienced visual observer, and he's a past MES observing chairperson. That shows him presenting awards to people who have obtained AL certificates. And one of these days, we need to substitute some pictures of our current Astro League coordinator and observing chairperson, Jerry Jones, presenting the awards, since he's been doing this for quite a few years now, and we're delinquent on not updating the pictures. Those Astro League observing programs. So again, as a member of the MES, you've also been registered as a member of the Astronomical League, the national one. And that's kind of the parent organization, if you will, of all of the astronomy clubs and societies throughout the United States. Now, the AL maintains over 70 individual observing programs, and the reason for it is they realized long ago that without some push, many amateur astronomers just go out and observe the same few eye candy objects over and over again. And that's a really good way to lose interest in observing. So they created these observing projects to give AL members some specific objectives to achieve. And again, there's over 70 of those things now, and they're growing all the time. And they range from ones good for beginners to very experienced people, and even, you know, dark skies all the way to urban light pollution. So here's a partial list of that. I've highlighted in red some of the more popular ones, like the binocular Messier program and the Messier program itself. That's generally the first one that most people end up doing just because Messier objects are so popular. You know, double star program, globular cluster program, those are good. The lunar program, of course, and there's actually a lunar program, a lunar 2 program, and I think there's a lunar 3 program now. And those, of course, can be done under urban light pollution. One that's really good is the Outreach Award Program. Now, that one's especially appropriate for MAS members who have been trained at Eagle Lake because just by participating in a couple of ELO public nights, you can earn that AL Outreach Award. And I have to say, I've attended plenty of ELO public nights, and I've never applied for this award, and I should. Trouble is, you've got to document it. That's the problem. Anyway, so we've got the observing SIG. Now we've also got the imaging SIG. Now the MAS has a lot of experienced imagers, and most of them are really eager to share their knowledge. You can find them very active on the MAS discussion, imaging discussion forum, and in the MAS Slack community. They'll post their pictures up in the Slack community. They also hold imaging training sessions periodically, so watch the discussion forums for the next ones coming up. Moving from in-reach type things to outreach. So again, I mentioned early on, Lila Linkman is our outreach coordinator, and outreach is really a great way to both have fun showing the universe to others and to encourage additional interest in the hobby of astronomy. Now, the cool part about it is you don't need to be an absolute expert on physics, astronomy, or the skies or anything like that to be able to participate. You just have to know a little bit more than the people you're talking to, which works for me. And also you have a lot of enthusiasm, and it's always fun to listen to the first time somebody sees Jupiter or Saturn or looks at the craters on the moon, go wow, and stuff like that. So urge you, if you have any interest at all, sidewalk astronomy or going to the Bell Planetarium, because they host monthly star parties, and we all need more outreach volunteers to help encourage others in just getting interested in astronomy. Okay. Well, anyway, I mentioned where you could reach the calendar of events from the webpage. So this is just took this snapshot of it, and there aren't quite as many events over the winter. Now, they're always linked type of things in the calendar. You can pick, when the calendar, when you want to search in the calendar, pull up information by clicking on the links in here. So we have that calendar of events available both online on the website in an interactive form, and it's linked from the top of the home page, but you can go to that URL or go into the back of the Gemini. So Father Brown starts publishing the entire one, like this one I pulled from earlier in the year in 2022, so it shows all the way from March through October. But as the year goes on, he'll chop off the first part. We'll always have the Star Party schedule for the rest of the year in the Gemini, so you can take a look at it from there when you download it and print it off. Okay, so that was communication type stuff. So let's take a look at some of the other benefits. So one that's really important to new members is the Loaner Scope program. So Loaner Scopes are free for any MES member to use. And we have now quite a range of scopes available, from 6-inch, 8-inch, and 10-inch Dobsonians to refractors and Schmidt-Cassegrain scopes. And many of those Schmidt-Cassegrains are computerized go-to scopes. Now, you can request any Loaner scope, and you'll get it nominally for a month. In the summertime, you probably just have it for a month because there's normally quite a backlog for them. But if there's no backlog for some reason of reservations for the particular scope that you're borrowing, you probably can keep it for a second month. You simply have to contact Anton Gregory going from the homepage members loaner scope program, and you fill out a web form again to request whatever type of scope you want, first choice, second choice, third choice, and get on the list for those scopes. So really a great resource. In addition to the scopes, by the way, there's also a set of, there's a set of large binoculars and also astronomy DVDs available for use, and all of the details for those are on the website. Okay, so member discounts. We've kind of talked about Sky and Telescope and Astronomy Magazine already. In addition to those, you can get a 10% discount from Sky Publishing. So Sky Publishing is the publisher of Sky and Telescope magazine. So their books, you can get a 10% discount. In a similar fashion, the Astronomical League book service, go to their website, and as a AL member, you can get a 10% discount. And then very occasionally, we've done this quite often in the past, but we haven't been doing it too much recently, but you can get occasional group purchases. Somebody will say that, hey, we have a need for something, whether it's an observer's handbook or a star atlas or amateur telescope making supplies, or, planetarium software, things like that. So just keep a watch out on the web forums and on Slack for if anybody sets up for doing one of those group purchases. Some of the things that a couple of specific discounts that were negotiated by Brandon Hamill, who's our roving ambassador type member, because he flies all over the country for work, is San Pedro Valley Observatory. Now you can either get a discount for using this remote observatory for imaging, either on a monthly basis or on a nightly basis, and it's a pretty decent, it's like 20% off on a rental per night. Another one is for equipment this time, Thousand Oaks Optical. Now, Thousand Oaks Optical, another one that was negotiated by Brandon Hamill. Thousand Oaks is one of the leading manufacturers of white light solar filters, and they're both available in glass film and in plastic film form. So you can purchase either a pre-made filter like the one in the bottom center, or film so you can make your own make your own custom filter using the film and whatever means you want to mount it. Unfortunately, the red hydrogen alpha filters that allow us to see the prominences along the edge of the sun are very specialized and very expensive, so they don't give us a discount for those things. But there are quite a few other products available on their website that can have this 10% discount. And basically, you just mentioned that it's the MAS 10% club discount when ordering it online at their website. Another site, Alpine Astronomical, pretty much the same thing, 8% discount. In addition to Thousand Oaks, Bader Planetarium makes good solar filters as well, and also regular glass filters for using behind the eyepiece. So the 8% discount is on all Bader Planetarium products, not including, they do also sell on their website Celestron and Solar Spectrum products. But basically, just again, mention the 8% discount when you're ordering it online. In addition to those third-party sites, we also have an MES merchandise. The stuff is actually, customized on demand from Cafe Press. These are promotional items that are customized with the MES logo and available at a reasonable cost. They're manufactured, basically on an as-needed basis. So, but you do get them. You can get, as it shows in the picture here, caps or tote bags or cups or shirts or T-shirts or sweatshirts and things like that. We do get a small percentage of the profit from the sale, not a huge amount, but a little bit anyway. So it's a good way to help support the club. So anyway, other things, volunteer opportunities. So just like any hobby or activity, you'll get more benefit out of it the more you participate in it. And volunteering is a great way to get the most out of the hobby. It's also kind of the lifeblood of the MAS. Without our volunteers, the MAS wouldn't have been able to be the fantastic club it is today. We really ask you to consider volunteering in any aspect that interests you. Shucks, you could even do this presentation sometime instead of listening to me stumble through it. But again, Gemini articles, say that right. Also, I mentioned monthly meeting programs. I didn't really talk about the programs that much. I realized I forgot about that. We'll have that big main presentation, but before that, we have a business meeting, where we talk about whatever's coming up. And also, we typically have a Better Know a Constellation presentation, which is from one of the members. And it gives you a chance to dig in and, learn about a constellation and present on it, whether it's the mythology or what deep sky objects are in that constellation and things like that. And it's a fun way to do that. And we have those monthly meeting programs, the Better Know a Constellation programs during the meetings. And of course, you can do sidewalk astronomy almost anywhere in the Twin Cities, showing off Jupiter, Saturn, the moon, stuff like that. Outreach. So we do have that outreach request. So people can schedule, they can request events. They can request to go out to Eagle Lake. They can request, that a Girl Scout or Boy Scout troop, schools, church groups, things like that, can put in requests quite often. And we have a number of people that kind of belong to that outreach special interest group and will volunteer to go out to one of these places. So whether it's astronomy, sidewalk astronomy, or going out to the Bell Planetarium in their monthly star parties, or doing it out at Eagle Lake for the public nights, or those other special groups. It's always fun to do that kind of stuff. And also, one thing I'd forgotten, our agreement with Long Lake Conservation Center, to keep the price down, we've agreed out at LLCC to hold, to host some star parties for the people up in Aiken County. So we have an annual commitment to do a couple of star parties with them. And so you can go up and help out with that thing. And that helps reduce our cost for maintaining our ability to use that site. Kind of moving on to, the MAS doesn't exist in a vacuum, and here's some of the other organizations we have an affiliation with. The Science Museum, as I mentioned, used to be the landlord of Metcalf Field. We also used to hold our meetings there, monthly meetings there. Now we basically we have events that we occasionally attend there. The Bell Museum of Natural History and the Planetarium, that was hard to get out. We have a number of members that attend those things every month and help out with their star parties. The Astro League, of course, we're members of the Astro League. International Dark Sky Association, we contribute to the IDA every year, and they help us to maintain dark skies. Several members are members of the Minnesota Space Frontier Society as well. And of course, our landlords at LLCC and at Bellwin are associated with us. So finishing up a little bit on, here's a little history of the MAS. So as I mentioned earlier, we're founded as the Twin City Astronomy Club back in 1972. And it's kind of interesting, I mentioned before that Metcalf Field was the first observing site that we had. We did rename ourselves the MES and established ourselves as a 501c3 tax-exempt organization in 1980. So the first 8 years we were the TCAC, and then we became the MES. Eagle Lake was created, actually Onan Observatory was created in response to having something called the Larsen Telescope. We'll have a good history of that coming up later. But anyway, a lot of good history through the middle years there, but Onan Observatory was kind of officially christened Astronomy Day Spring 2001. And from that point on, we started growing fairly exponentially. We got the bad down at Cherry Grove. We got the stuff that allowed us to increase Onan Observatory to become the Eagle Lake Observatory facility. Then we got the big scopes up at Long Lake Conservation Center. Built the new observatory down at Cherry Grove in 2012 and 2013. Same thing, Sylvia Casby in 2012. We did host the Astronomical League Alcon convention in July 2018, which was a real fun thing, and celebrated our 50th anniversary last month and this month. So we've been moving along, and we really appreciate all of the help of all of our volunteers, and I think we'll have a really good history for the next 50 years. So anyway, a little bit ending up here, just wanted to end up with a brief overview of what your dues as an MES member help pay for. So again, dues are currently $40 annually for a regular member, $100 for a patron, or $20 for a student member. So of that $40 regular membership, $5 goes right off the top as your AL membership. And we pay that little bit for the IDA association, a little bit for administrative type things, and the vast majority of it is observing site maintenance and insurance and stuff like that. Those outside speakers, we do pay an honorarium, so that gets paid to those folks when they present to us, and so there's a little bit of a cost there. The patron membership, $100, $60 of that is tax deductible as a charitable contribution. You don't get any additional benefits per se for being a patron, other than the satisfaction of helping out the club, and also you get recognized in the Gemini every issue. We have a list of all of the patron members, and there's a few other smaller additional sources of income. The occasional donations, that little bit of money that we get off of the MES merchandise. I guess we do have an Amazon affiliate program, but I've never used that one personally, so I don't know how much money we get out of that one. A little bit of interest income on checking account. Yeah, right. That hasn't paid back anything for a long time. And then whatever donations we get at Eagle Lake and all of the Astronomy Day events and special events there. So to summarize, this is the stuff that we've gone over the course of the last hour and a half or so. The monthly meetings, where we get the guest lectures, all of the things you can do with the specific special interest groups, the star parties and the facilities, the publications that we have, the discounts that we can get as members, of course, the use of the loaner telescopes, and reaching out to others. One thing I forgot to mention was within the discussion forums, there is a want ad form. So if you want to sell or buy or something, you can enter a want ad in there. All of the other communications, and then the annual events. So I think that is about it. So we've covered all of these things over the course of the last hour and a half or so. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And again, I urge you to volunteer to help grow the club and participate and have a lot of fun in it.
It's a lot of fun to be part of the programs.
Yep. And with that, I thank everyone for watching this presentation, and we will catch you at the next meeting or the next